Let's start off today then. So my name's Tony Marie Benetton, and this is just a starting point really of the introduction into the webinar this evening or early afternoon, which is self-care mental health toolkit, wellbeing and work, and that's going to be delivered by Yazoo and Pauline, who will introduce themselves later on. So as I said, my name's Tony Marie Benetton, and I'm one of the committee members on the BASW Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire branch. And so I'm just going to give you a little bit of information in terms of who we are and what we do, and hopefully you'll keep joining us after this webinar and come along and meet us at Derby University and Nottingham when we put on additional seminars in the future. Next slide, please, Yazoo.
Okay.
So who we are. I guess in a sense we're kind of a bunch of really lively, quite boisterous, very humorous social workers, and we're really passionate about social work. We come from lots and lots of different specialisms, from academia, adults, children specialisms. We have experiences in things such as adoption or mental health, and so all of that kind of knowledge accumulates in us, is coming together to be able to share those experiences with you, the wider workforce and practitioners out there on the front line. And our goal really is about supporting you and providing, current ways for you to discuss, topics that are out there and prevalent in society and in social work on the whole. So, seminars just like this one today, they're really vital in terms of developing your CPD portfolio, but also giving you good quality learning that's accessible and that you can take into the workplace and with those service users and other professionals. And I guess one of the other things that I just wanted to pull out really is we're not a scary group. I think sometimes the word BASW branch and committee, it kind of, brings up a kind of a scary process. But just as the colours, we're just a group of really lively, colourful people, and we'd really love for you to come and join us in the future. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So in terms of, kind of what we are, our role, as I said, is just about providing seminars, and we do that to students, we do that to social workers, we also have other practitioners from other areas of social care such as allied health come and join us, as well as experienced carers, so experts by experience and service users will also come along to our seminars. BASW is a massive organisation in the UK, and as a social worker I feel quite privileged to be a part of BASW, and I accessed BASW for many years before I paid my membership, and before I got scolded too many times by Janet. But I really got a lot from those seminars, and they really certainly helped me in my early days of social work. But BASW I've set up local branches networks across the country, and on the next slide or the last slide I've just put the link there for you to access any branch within your area. But they're local branches and networks that really give you the opportunity to get involved with BASW at a local level. So things that are happening in your area are likely to be discussed through seminars and meetings where you can come together. And as I said, we discuss a range of topics, and in the past we've discussed topics such as the development of adoption legislation, policy and practice, and that was with Dr. Mohammed Jakara, who way back in 2004 was actually my manager when I worked in an adoption team. And so he really pulled out, some of the key topics currently moving through the adoption agenda. We've then had seminars where we've had, so Paul Wiggins, an expert by experience, so in whose interest, relatives with dementia. So very much kind of giving a personal experience of working with social care, but also from the perspective of somebody whose family relatives are going through those issues. And then we've had student mentoring and peer learning with Gavin Jinks, who is an adult social worker, but actually now working in academia at Derby University. And so you can see just by the seminars that there's a really good way of enhancing your learning, but there's a broad topics being discussed that are prevalent. And if you as a member, whether that's free or a paid member, come along to those seminars and have those conversations with us, it may be that we can put on something that kind of further sparks those interests for you. So the committee for certainly Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire is made up of Janet Folds, Dr. Pauline Green, who is delivering the seminar today. We have Fran Fuller, who's in academia at Derby University, Pip Armstrong, Sue Williams, who's Derby City Education training team. We have Fiona Chapman and Bridgetine Donnan, who I think has just qualified now with her MA in social work, so well done. Richard Slater, and then myself, Tony Marie Benetton. And obviously we did also have Sheila Green, who sadly passed away on the 18th of May. But again, this is a tribute also to Sheila, because we was all moved by her passing, but also the gusto that she brought to that committee. Next slide, please, Yazoo. So just finally, really, the kind of the best bits in terms of getting involved with us. First of all, it's the best way to get your CPD. Today is going to get your CPD. We've all got Social Work England. We've all got to keep filling that in. And even for those of you that aren't qualified social workers, somewhere along the line, you've got your professional development, and this can enhance and contribute to that process. The second thing, and probably way before the fact that it's evidence-based practice, is the fact that there's always a lovely selection of food and drink at each seminar. If you want to join the committee, you get a curry, and we always go for a curry afterwards. But there's always food and drink, so that brings with it a really nice way to kind of have a good audience, thoughtful topics, and actually networking and getting to talk to other people across the East Midlands who are passionate about social care. And then kind of that other area, really, in terms of evidence-based practice, social work is a professional degree, it's a professional programme, and it's a protected title. And therefore, alongside our learning and development and also our practice, we have to make sure that it's based in research. And just as today's seminar is based in research, so are all the seminars that we run. So, come along, come and join a branch either where you live, or come and join the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire branch. Click on the link and that will take you over to branches, and it will certainly be available, this presentation afterwards. So thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the webinar.
All right, okay, thank you, Tony. And now we're going to move on to this self-care part of this webinar. And first of all, thank you for coming to joining this webinar. We are so excited to be able to deliver what we have found to this many people, many of you. And yeah, it's great, as a researchers, that our findings are known to you. It's a very great thing. And then first, we're going to introduce ourselves. And my name is Yasuhiro Kotera. I'm academic lead for counseling and psychotherapy.
Yeah, I'll maybe start talking because I think Yasu is frozen for a minute. My name is Dr. Pauline Green, and I'm course director at UDOL, which is the online learning department at Derby. I'm also an academic lead for the health and social care programmes. There's quite a suite of programmes from level 5 through to master's level. I am a registered social worker. I qualified in 1984, and I've been on campus at the university for 21 years, the last 4 being online learning. So yeah, it's really great to be with you today.
I think he's still frozen. So
Yeah.
I've already introduced myself. And Liz, do you want to just introduce yourself because people can see you, I believe?
Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Pauline and Tony. I'm sure Yaz will be back with us soon. I'm Liz Howard. I'm Professional Officer with BASW England, and I'm the Support Officer for the Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire branch. So it's great to be here today, and I'll be talking to you slightly later on in the day just about the work of BASW, building on what Tony's been saying about the branch, and also introducing you to some of the work that we've been doing at BASW and some of the benefits of becoming a member. Okay, I think we've got Yaz back now.
Yeah, so I introduced myself, Yasu. Yes,
okay.
I've introduced myself.
Okay,
I'll just mention your babies as well, because Yasu has triplets, and you may note throughout there is one. Oh, it's Valentine.
It's Valentine.
So you may notice a swap of babies as we go along, but maybe not. Valentine looks very peaceful there. But yes, so I have introduced myself if you want to.
Oh, great. Yes. Okay, yes. I don't know where the audio cut off, but starting from the scratch. So my name is Yasuhiro Kotera. I'm academic lead for counseling psychotherapy portfolio at the University of Derby online learning, and I'm also an accredited psychotherapist by BASW. And we also do research. And then today we're going to introduce you about this self-care and that part of research to you. Okay, and during this presentation, webinar, we would like to hear your opinion or your thoughts, feelings. So if you prepare your tablet, mobile phone or iPad or anything, that would be very helpful. And all your responses will be anonymized, so we don't know who put what. But if you, we would like to use it for our academic purposes, informing students or other relevant parties. So yeah, if you don't feel comfortable, please, okay, not to join, but yeah, I think yeah, it's completely safe environment. So okay, so first of all, we would like to ask you those two questions, and then we have this live poll. So I'm going to show you the live poll. Yeah. Okay. If you could go to this link, paulev.com/Yasuhiro-Kote147. Yes, it's going to ask you. Oh, yes, already people. Wow, very techie savvy participants. Thank you. Yes, if you go there, it's going to ask you your this question: how well you feel you take care of yourself. Yes. Okay. Interesting. 4 is very common response, and 6, 7 is also, but 4 being very common response. Oh, we got 9. Six.
There's quite a spread, isn't there? Nobody's saying extremely well yet, though, but.
It's settling.
Yeah. Ah, somebody has said extremely well. I think they heard me. I shouldn't have spoke.
Very good. Yeah. Okay, thank you for the technology. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay. Yeah. And compare towards yourself. Good spread. Spread and 3, 6, 7. Very common response.
There are a lot of people who aren't very compassionate towards themselves, though. If you have a look at sort of 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, 1 to 3 being very common, and yeah, 6, 7 is also yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. There's a psychological experiment about culture and the response habits, and in this area, Japanese people and British people are very similar. They prefer middle choices than extreme choices. Maybe.
It's a safer option, isn't it, going in the middle?
I see.
Don't like to commit either way.
While in the States, they tend to go, very good, very bad, very extreme voting style. But yeah, very interesting. Okay, thank you. We're going to ask you the same questions toward end as well, and yeah, hopefully we can see increase of this. And so far, that's been happening. So yeah, okay, thank you very much. And to start off this. Yeah.
Mental health shame, and shame was something that came through in our research, and I don't know whether people know what that word shame means, but I did have a look at it in the dictionary, and the definition in the dictionary is that shame is a painful feeling of humiliation and distress, so a very uncomfortable feeling. And our research showed that shame is a significant factor for people in relation to their mental health and well-being. So there's many aspects, unfortunately, of shame in our professions. So, for example, it might be that, you have concern about your ability to perform your role, and so you feel, shame around that. You might feel shame about negative attitudes, actually, that are from the media, and who knows, maybe with COVID, it's possible that actually that media attention has become more positive than negative now. I'm not quite sure. I don't know what people might think about that. But also there's shame about not being able to provide services, possibly, that you want for your service users. So it's I suppose most importantly, we can feel shame about not being able to express our feelings about our mental health. We are struggling, but actually we feel, because we're in the professions that we are, that we're caring for people who maybe maybe have mental health issues, and because of that we feel that we can't actually express the feeling that we have those mental health issues ourselves. So it's this kind of feeling that people have actually about that, and feeling very negatively about being able to express their feelings, that actually can create this issue around shame. Mental health shame actually stops people from talking about their problems and receiving help. What we found actually in our research is that doing any kind of training around mental health may be quite ineffective if people are feeling shame. And what we must try to do, and when we look at the exercises that we undertake later on, we will be kind of focusing on more the strengths of, the qualities that people have, rather than actually focusing on the more negative side of things and talking about depression. We will be talking about those strengths that people have. So I don't know whether Yasu is back with us. Are you,
Can
Yasu?
you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Oh, great.
Yes.
Okay,
so you can
good.
talk about the research findings.
Yes.
So if I go
Okay.
on to that slide.
Okay, yes. So yeah, we have explored lots of different populations of mental health and also mental health shame, because those populations are known to have high degree of shame about mental health. So, for example, examples include UK construction workers and UK hospitality workers and business students, also Japanese workers and Dutch workers. And there are probably about 10 papers from these populations, and then reading that maybe take a bit long time, but to summarize the key point of those research studies is this very simple message. Key findings is that the mental health shame was related to mental health problems positively, meaning that those workers who had high degree of shame about mental health tended to have poor mental health. And self-compassion, kindness towards yourself, was related to mental health problems negatively. So the higher degree of kindness you have towards yourself was related to less mental health problems. And thirdly, work-life balance. This is also related to mental health problems negatively. So those who feel they have good balance of work and life tended to have better mental health. Could you click next one? Yes. So summarizing that, low shame, high self-compassion, and high work-life balance was related to low mental health problems. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah. So our key findings is that this self-compassion, yeah, especially among those three, key self-compassion was strongest predictor of our mental health, and self-compassion being kindness towards yourself. Yes, and self-compassion has 6 components: self-kindness and common humanity. Common humanity means that you understand, suffering as part of human life, and then you can see below common humanity is isolation. Isolation, you feel like, oh, why me? Why this is happening to me? Kind of feeling. While common humanity is more about, okay, this is part of life. This happens to other people as well. That kind of understanding. And mindfulness is awareness to here and now. Those three first line are positive components of self-compassion. And the second line of self-judgment, isolation, over-identification are negative components of self-compassion. Self-judgment, this probably is very familiar word, isolation as well, especially during this COVID-19, people work from home and then sometimes feel isolated. And over identification is that when something happens, you feel like that's your fault, although it's not your fault. That's over identification. So those three negative components negatively affects your self-compassion. And the self-compassion is very, very important because it's a key construct for your self-care. You can take self-care behaviors without being kind to yourself, but probably the effects of that self-care behavior is not high if you are not compassionate towards yourself. So it's very important construct. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to importance of self-care. And yes.
Yeah. So we're going to ask people, I suppose, what do they think, or what do you think when you hear the word self-care? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, can we do this, Chelsea, using my screen? One more try. If this live survey works. If it doesn't work, okay.
If it doesn't work, we can always ask everybody to use the chat box. Don't worry if it doesn't work.
Very true.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can I have the screen share thing? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll just do that now for you. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. So thank you very much. People already typing
it's working.
It's working. Yes.
I know, it's good.
Great. Yes.
So people are starting to type in what it means to them then in terms of their self-care, and we've got some good words coming through. I love it when this diagram starts to create itself like this.
Yeah. Yes, great.
So I always like to pick out certain things because quite an unusual word there that I've seen is selfish, but I have seen this time and time again when we do this exercise. It's this kind of idea that actually looking after yourself, in your profession and in your home, and all you've got to do actually is quite a selfish thing to do, that really you shouldn't be looking at, thinking about yourself. You need to be thinking about everybody else. But of course, if you don't care for yourself, you're not going to be in a good position then to care for others. So
very true, very true. Yeah, there's a stigma about self-care in healthcare professions, and then some healthcare workers say that as selfish responsiveness to describe self-care behaviors. But I think it's not selfish at all. It's responsibility. I mean, you need to take good care of yourself to offer care to others. So yeah,
I mean, what is coming out very clearly there, and I think it's just what these diagrams are about, the biggest kind of largest letters there and the words is time. And I think a lot of people would say that, if only I had more time, I would have the time then to think about myself and care for myself. So yes, that time there in the centre is obviously, a lot of people are saying that's coming out quite clearly.
Yeah, and this is really valuable coming from professional healthcare workers, how they perceive this self-care. So yeah, thank you for your input.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, I can probably slide back to. Okay, so next question is, what stops you from taking care of yourself? Yeah, if you could. Yeah. Okay.
Probably get time again.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, time. Yeah. So what stops you from? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. First person to type in that word.
Workload.
I know it's true. Guilt.
Guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the commitments that people have. And I think those commitments have increased. And I know we're noticing it with students as well. We have students that are in practice, and COVID has really impacted upon them in terms of their work, but importantly, more so in terms of what's going on for them at home as well, and their commitments.
And I'm sorry just to interrupt here.
Yeah,
I can just see assignments in there, which obviously we've got students with us today, so that's really important for me as an academic to think about, do we need to change how we assess?
Yes, yeah. It is very difficult for students, with all that's going on for them. We sometimes, just think about them just studying with us, but I don't know. I think we are aware. Hopefully, we are aware of all the other commitments, and I know that's coming through at this time. We're starting now to get assignments coming in, and we're hearing about people's life stories and how difficult it is, and the impact that COVID has had on them.
I think that's also reflected in the support sessions that I was talking about earlier, support forums, and the sorts of words that people are using to describe how they're feeling, and how there's been different stages of that throughout the pandemic, and certainly a lot of the words I can see around priorities, tired. People are feeling quite fatigued with the weight of everything, I think, because we're now 5 months into the pandemic as well, so that's coming through very much so.
It is. And there's an interesting word there, it's an inverted commas, so thank you whoever put this in, because it is interesting where it says shirking. And I suppose it's this thing, maybe they think, if you start to take care of yourself, they don't see the positive in that. People don't. They actually think that you're shirking from your duties and what you should be doing, maybe. So thank you, whoever put that in. It's quite an interesting word. Not heard that one for a while, but it really does kind of explain how that person is feeling, and how others how they think others might be viewing them, and what's them taking care. So
it's very, very good, like time, or those kind of things are very logistic, very kind of concrete things, and behind it there's an emotional side as well, guilt, shame, motivation, feeling selfish, those kind of things. So it's very interesting. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the importance of self-care, and there's an example of self-care.
Yes, I'm going to give that example, aren't I? Because, you know,
Yes.
this was years ago, but I have never forgotten it. And actually thinking about guilt, etc., I still actually to this day do feel quite guilty about this. And I don't know whether this rings true for other people as well, but I worked with someone for years in social work, and he was quite a lively character. He was great, actually, and we used to have discussions about cases, and he was always willing to, you know, give his opinion and actually offer advice about what we could do in you know, with cases. And yeah, and quite a funny guy as well, and he was really good company. But what I didn't pick up on, and I don't think my colleagues did either, it may have been because we missed the signs, because we did have a change in our work environment. We moved office, but what he did was he became a lot quieter, and he actually chose a desk which was at the back of the room, and his back was to us. And over a period of time, he just really did remove himself, and seemed a bit more irritable. You know, obviously in a working environment, you can hear people on the phone. He was, you know, just didn't appear his normal self. But none of us, and maybe it's because we were so busy, none of us really seemed to pick up on that. And it was only on this particular day when we were all together in the office, and he was on the phone, and he just put the phone down fairly quietly, but then he just picked up this case file and he just slammed it on the desk, and we all kind of looked at him, and he just walked out, and we never saw him again. He never returned to the office. And I think really if we'd been a bit more sensitive and we'd thought about, you know, the process of burnout and what can happen to people, the signs and symptoms, we really should have picked up on that, I think. You know, he was a colleague of ours, but and I still feel guilty to this day. And I think it's really important that we are aware of our own, what we're going through, that we do actually voice those feelings, but also that we're aware of other people as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. That's a very good example, and yeah, relates to kind of workplace atmosphere as well, and it's very important thing. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so now moving towards these exercises that can be practiced by busy workers. And then we've been giving this training to our students and also some practitioners, and then those two exercises have been very popular among them. So we'd like to introduce those two, and the first one being that self-care breathing. So breathing is very important, and also breathing is great because you can practice it like now on that spot. So paying attention to breathing is really useful. And we have this video, and we are happy to share a link to you later on. But I think for now, I'm going to lead this exercise together. And then, yeah, I want you to feel how that feels to pay attention to breathing, and also deep breathing. So when I say inhale, please inhale. Then yeah, feel your lower abdomen extending. Then when I say exhale, exhale the air, and also your lower abdomen retracting. Then yeah, feeling that movement and breathing slowly. And let's experience how that feels. And also now we're going to do it as a group. And then that's also, I think, something good to do together. So, okay, are you ready? And I assume you say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, and also I think other 100.
We're getting ourselves ready.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, so let's practice. Please inhale. Okay. And exhale slowly. Very good. And inhale. And feeling your lower abdomen extending. And exhale. Now it's retracting. Okay, one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, thank you. So that's, yeah, breathing slowly and paying attention to your body, how it moves. And then often we hear that people experience more relaxed and relieved. And also when it's practiced by a group, you feel more of a cohesion in the group and the safety in the group. And now workplace research says that psychological safety you experience in the workplace is related to work productivity. So it's really important construct. So yeah, it doesn't take long for you to practice during your busy shifts, and maybe breathing same time as a group maybe useful as well. I mean, I know that in the beginning you may feel a bit awkward, but I think it's yeah, worthwhile investment for your self-care. Okay, and also breathing at the same time takes place in our daily life as well. Like for example, when you let the baby fall asleep, you tend to breathe at the same time as baby. And then when we feel someone is breathing at the same time slowly, we feel very relaxed and safe. That's why we are able to sleep. So, okay. Next one is reframing. This is more active involvement, and reframing is that, yeah, please take a look at this picture of Mona Lisa, and yeah, just think about the price of this painting. This Mona Lisa picture is put in very nice frame, and yeah, probably you may say some £1 million or very expensive looking. And next, I want you to see this one. Very different frame. Yeah, very different frame. This looks like at Tesco, buy two get three kind of looking, and maybe like pay £5 and you can get three of them kind of looking. Yeah. Yeah. Today we have so many attendees. Maybe some of you maybe actually working at Tesco and then maybe may find this kind of thing. But yeah. So yeah. But message is that same information, same content of Mona Lisa, but a frame around it is different. So just the change of frame really changed our perception towards it. So same Mona Lisa picture, but the frame are different. Then we feel very differently. So same thing can be taken positively or negatively depending on how you frame it. And this also applies to your situations or your personal qualities that you don't like or you don't appreciate much. And reframing was very popular in my workplace research. That reframing was most popular skill among busy workers because that can be practiced quickly, and also it really works immediately, very quickly. And then there are like big category, two ways to do reframing, and one of which is a good example is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Probably you all know this song, and maybe imagine that song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So he, initially Rudolph felt very ashamed of his red shiny nose, but Santa Claus, as a manager of Rudolph, said that during this dark night, your shiny nose is very helpful because it can shine things around. Then after this reframing, Rudolph felt very motivated to work. So yeah, in another way that Santa Claus as a manager increased work engagement of Rudolph using reframing very instantly. So this type of reframing is called context reframing. So you provide a different context where the same quality is really useful. Another type of reframing is called content reframing. This is about how you label it, label the same quality that makes a difference. For example, for example, if someone feels not good about their quality, that they start something new and they stop, not really going far, then change their focus and do something, start new and change their focus kind of thing. Then this person doesn't like this, nothing lasts long kind of quality. But from other angle, you can see that this person has so many different interests, curiosity, or that can be a strength as well. So that kind of using different level is called content reframing. So yeah, you can use those two types of reframing to see different things. So for today, I would like you to name one personal quality you do not appreciate much, and reframe as well, reframe that quality. So yeah, if you you know, don't mind sharing your some kind of quality that you don't appreciate much, please feel free to type in the chat box, and yeah, we can reframe that if
Are you going to choose one then, Yasu, and we'll see if we can reframe it for people?
yeah if yeah,
Just choose one particular quality.
yeah. I'm hoping that if someone among attendees attend this, yeah, can say something that I mean, even example role play is fine. If yeah, you could type in something. Yeah, that'll
If
be.
not, I shall ask you about one of your qualities.
Ah, I see. Okay, okay, I see. Yeah. Okay. Let me see.
Are you seeing anything?
No, I don't see any
No.
input here. Yeah.
There's quite a few
So,
coming up in the questions bar, guys. For example,
Oh,
someone
okay.
has put that they're
Just
lazy,
choose one.
which I
Choose one, Chelsea, and
Yeah.
we'll have a go at
Oh yeah,
reframing it.
yeah.
Have a go.
lazy.
Oh,
Good one.
right. Okay.
Good one.
Yasu,
Yeah.
you can start.
Laziness. Why you want to be lazy? Lazy? It's because I think laziness is a sign of pursuing efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would like to be efficient. That's why you want to be lazy. And lazy person tends to find, you know, very efficient way to do things.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
You don't want to expel energy, you know, that yes, just reserve your energy, conserve your energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
We've had a go at that one. I don't know how successfully. Is there another one? we may operate.
Yeah, somebody's put that. Someone's put that they can be pedantic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you see, I think pedantic can be quite a good quality because that's being very sort of accurate and careful, isn't it? Instead of just rushing in and just doing any old thing or saying any old thing. I always admire people like that actually because I do tend to sort of rush in and then maybe regret it. But you know, they. I don't see it as pedantic at times. I see it as being much more careful about what they're doing, what they're saying, being more accurate as well. And sometimes that's really important in terms of note taking, you know, getting evidence together. You might be going to court and you need that to be, you know, very accurate. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Yasu?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, the person is trying to explain clearly. That's why, yeah, becomes pedantic. But I think that's very, very helpful, and especially, you know, like probably social care work settings where lots of different background professionals work together. That kind of clear communication is really, really useful.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of going back to the lazy one as well, and just terms of laziness, but actually it's actually time to think, isn't it? It's time to reflect, and you're resting in preparation for full activity and the full use of energy. So actually to be lazy is actually to take stock and to prepare yourself. So actually a very good quality,
You're
and one that I'm going to do a little bit more of. Yeah.
That's
okay. I suppose we better move on.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So like that, it's very, very good to reframe. And, you know, I mean, you don't have to be completely convinced at this point, you know, but this practice gives you, you know, there's flexibility in how you see yourself. It's not only one way to see, and then you can develop your relationship.
Yeah, it's nice if you do it in a group as well, just a small set of you, small group, because not too big a group, it's perhaps unmanageable, but it's really nice to kind of say what it is and then to hear from other people actually how they perceive you, how they view it. And, you know, it can be quite confidence boosting actually so a quality you thought wasn't great, but then to hear from your colleagues, actually, you know, it's good quality. Just don't think about it like that. Look at it this way. I think it's a real confidence booster. So yeah, if you can practice it in your area where you're working, it's a good thing.
Yeah. When Pauline and I gave this similar workshop to Highways England workers, we made a group of 4, and one person tells their quality, and 3, members reframe the same quality, and that was very useful. And the whole atmosphere of the room has changed. So, yeah, it may be good. Yeah. Okay. Good. And moving the slides. Okay, so those 2 exercises probably you can do in your workplace. And back to our questions. How do you feel you can now take care of yourself? And then another, I think, about compassion question. So I'm going to move the slides to this one. If you could, yes. It's again on the poll, and if you could, respond. Oh wow, great.
That was perhaps just one person then.
Yeah.
Already there's a bigger chunk at the bottom, isn't there?
Yeah.
Looking very different, actually, that diagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this would be very clever, and we can't do it now. We can do it afterwards, is making that comparison and putting the 2 diagrams together just to see what that difference is. But definitely more. There is still somebody, unfortunately, there who doesn't feel that they can, but certainly, I mean, if you look at the upper end for 9 and 10, we've definitely got a higher percentage there.
Yeah,
it's great. Oh, that's good.
Okay.
We didn't cause too much anxiety then initially. We all calmed as it went on, maybe.
Yeah.
Is it worth considering, Pauline, that the kind of that person at 2% on number 2, any strategies that they could have to kind of continue to move forward in terms of either reframing or just taking those opportunities to think of mindfulness in terms of breathing? Is there anything you could add there from your research that would be useful for them?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, because like this webinar, we have limited time to practice, and like breathing was a very short 3 times of breathing. And while, for example, research on mindfulness, they have at least 5 minutes of focusing in mindfulness. So the time is definitely the one. But I think maybe practicing a bit longer, more focused way may help increasing self compassion.
And I guess just
sorry, Tony.
I was just going to say, if you can't do that in the workplace, do it on your walk to work, or if you're working from home, when you have your break, do it when you go for your break, even if that's just down to get a cup of tea.
Yeah, and somebody at work is doing some research around trees and actually being able to walk through forests and, even just to look at a tree. I know it sounds ridiculous, but actually the research that's coming out from that is that people do feel a lot calmer. They do feel better about themselves and in their kind of, in terms of their mental health and well-being, to be around trees. So I suppose that's being out, isn't it? But his research is specifically around being trees.
Yeah, just looking at pictures or hearing nature sound is really healing for us. So
it's interesting actually,
isn't it? And stroking pets. I mean, we all know that, and we hear about that a lot, don't we? But it just slows everything down, because whilst you're doing that, you're breathing and everything, you're concentrating on something else. So
Good point. Okay, thank you. Going to the next question about self compassion. How you feel compassion towards yourself? Let's take a look. Yeah, compassion. It's a kindness towards yourself, and
I mean, people should feel compassionate towards themselves, because they've been dealing with a lot and are dealing with a lot at the moment, and actually doing really well and coping with it. So hopefully people do feel that they can be compassionate towards themselves, because they deserve it, don't they?
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. And this is very important factor for our mental health. Having self-compassion is very important.
I think there are a lot. Yeah, sorry.
I'm just saying, even taking the time out today, you know, for those of you that have finished work early or you're going to do an extra hour later on, the fact that you've taken the time out today and log into this, and it might just be that you're thinking, well, I need to get something on CPD, but actually this information will resonate kind of maybe later, tomorrow, next week, as you're talking to somebody else. So, you know, even just taking this time out is part of self-compassion, to kind of keep ourselves informed, and to be able to have those communications with each other, and have a little bit more knowledge about some of that terminology, which can be quite stressful, particularly mindfulness. Doing those breathing techniques feels a bit weird, but the more you do them, the easier they become. And trust me, that's from somebody who struggles to do it, but I do it now.
I was just going to say on that point as well, Tony, that you were making before, there's a number of different kind of apps that you can access for free now, which can help, you know, to, you know, if you do feel a bit conscious or you're not sure where to start around those breathing exercises, that can kind of get you into a good habit around that, and you can set reminders and things, which always helps to be conscious that you need to take a break. There's no harm in sort of being prompted around that, is there really? And I'm sure there could be suggestions about that. So
I suppose the good news is it still is in the higher brackets, isn't it, that people are now at this point feeling a bit more. I think maybe our professions just do stop us, you know, being able to get to that 9 and 10 in terms of how we feel, because we are thinking about the people all the time, whether it be at work, our families, that we just, I think maybe it's in our nature in the kind of areas and professions that we're in. I don't know, but it is good news that on the whole we're more in the upper bracket rather than lower.
That's very true. I mean, that reminds me of I text analyzed code of practice of British social workers, and there are about 80 shoulds in this document, and there are only 2 words about self-care or self-awareness. So 80 versus 2. That's very different. Yeah, I think. As social workers, you have to follow lots of regulations or lots of procedure, therefore lots of shoulds. But I think more of self-care or self aspect, it should be more focused, I felt.
Was that in the professional capabilities framework, was it, Yasu? Where were you looking? Can you remember?
Code of practice.
Oh, the code of practice.
Yeah, code of practice. Yeah, I mean, the nature of this document. Yeah, the nature of this document is should oriented, but still 80 versus 2 is a big imbalance, I felt.
Yeah, there is some, I know that BASW, again, during the pandemic, released some information and guidance, which is on our website around wellbeing, and around that's got some information around self-care, and I know that that's been enhanced in terms of information and guidance and tips, and there's an area on the website that we can share with people about that as well. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah,
that's great. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. And good. Yeah, very glad to see this increase of positive responses. And last one is that our question for you, that is there anything that you would like us to research about in your organization or in your team? We prepared again another poll for this. So if you could let us know this one, that would be very helpful. So far, we've explored, for example, resilience of our students, or motivation, those kind of things. Yeah,
we've had a question come through just offline that's come through that I've just popped in the chat, which was around implications for supervision, and that's obviously something that's going to come through here, so we can pick that up there. Brilliant.
Yeah, certainly in the research around resilience, reflective supervision in particular is very important, and that's very good at enhancing your resilience and being able to cope. So it's this thing about having the opportunity to reflect.
And that's incredibly important at the moment when we're not in those sort of office environments where informal opportunities aren't there necessarily, and formal maybe less frequent or not in the same way, and what the kind of implications for that are for people, I think.
Yeah, true,
Yeah.
true. There's a study about this relationship between manager / supervisor and staff study, and then if manager or supervisor has good understanding of, for example, flexible working or work-life balance, staff's sleeping or average sleeping time is longer, like 30 minutes longer than unsupportive manager, and also stress degree is really different. Yeah, so I think supervision, I think that's really interesting point. Yeah.
I mean, afterwards we'll have a look at this and maybe pick up on some of the things that people are saying there about the research that they'd like in their areas. And you know, if people did want to email, we would always get back, wouldn't we, Yasu, and have a think about whether it's something that we can research further.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, great. Yes. Oh, sorry.
I was just looking at just some of those words and you know, kind of motivation, racism, support, and they all kind of intermingle, but at the same time is, you know, are some workers you know, are being perceived as, you know, having those negative connotations as opposed to positive connotations, and so that would be quite interesting. And I was just talking to a manager the other day who, since the pandemic, has been having a 9 o'clock chat with her team, and she's asked lots of times, is this still okay, are we still happy with this? And they've all really benefited, and taking this further for my students in year one, my new year ones. I'm actually going to incorporate some mindfulness at the beginning of my 1.5 hour slot that I have with them, and again at the end, a full 5 minutes. So they're going to get 10 minutes every single week with me in preparation for practice for my new year one students. So I'm gonna take that on board and see whether we can get them kind of taking that forward with them into their profession 3 years later.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Yasu's going to say this as well, but we started at the start of COVID, at lockdown, we started what was called our 9 o'clock huddle. We called it a huddle. And we actually did some research on that, and we've got a publication, haven't we, Yasu? So we can actually give you the link to the publication, because which journal was it? Who accepted it in the end?
It's a Canadian journal of International Journal of Remote Learning, something like that. Remote learning, And
they really liked it, didn't they? And,
they really liked it. Very minor change required, and then just like 2 words, and they're happy to take it. Yeah,
it's good because it's only half an hour every morning, but you see what it does is we have a bit of a social thing, and I think that is what relaxes us. You know, we just talk about what we've done that night, whatever. It's quite a natural thing. But then if there is any business type stuff, we're able to do that as well, but then that sets you up for the day. So you feel quite confident that you sort of caught up with everybody, and if there's an issue for anybody, we can pick up on it maybe. But it's great from a social point of view. I mean, this publication that we've done picks up on all the things that it's great, you know, it's great about it. But I love it, and we're going to carry it on, hopefully. I think it would be a shame if we don't, but we are going to carry it on for the time
it's a very good investment, like, you know, like 30 minutes you know, in your time, and the rest of, you know, shift you really focusing on students and, you know, caring others. So having this, you know, morning, just, you know, checking in how, you know, your colleagues are doing and how you are doing, only focusing on your well-being, and and then that's really good. Like this you know, people feel isolated now in working from home kind of thing, but we feel more cohesion, more strong connection with the team.
We do, and we notice if somebody doesn't come into it. So that's the other thing. We'll say, "Oh, I hope you know such and such okay," because they're not here. There's probably a reason why, because they're in another meeting or something. But we are more aware of people and each other that we wouldn't have been if we were just walking in and out of an office.
Okay, great. Thank you for these ideas. I mean, they're great, and very important topics. So great. Wow. Okay. So and okay, now we come to this Q&A part. If you have any questions, opinions, ideas.
Have you noticed anything, Chelsea, that's come through that's interesting that we could maybe answer now? We do have, I think, how long do we have? About 10 minutes or so?
Yeah,
Did you get a chance
if we
to say what you wanted to say. I know you did something. Do you want to finish off again with anything?
Oh, yeah, I can do that the last sort of 5 minutes. So yeah,
Okay,
I'd rather people have opportunity for questions, and I can just summarise what I was going to say.
Brilliant.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think, Chelsea? What's come through? Anything that we can respond to?
Someone's put in a great comment. Basically, they've just said that what they're doing with their friends who are studying, they've got a WhatsApp group, and they just discuss their thoughts and feelings, like what's going on with them and going forward with their training. Just have a real honest discussion, which is something I think could be really nice if people want to take those conversations outside of work. That's a really nice idea.
Yeah, we do like the idea of that. We did have something recently, didn't we, Yasu, where it concerned us a little bit, because I think somebody within that WhatsApp group, and of course we weren't aware, did give kind of some information about an assessment that wasn't quite correct, and of course that then created this whole kind of anxiety, really, because the others thought that they'd got it right, and of course if we'd been in that WhatsApp group or we'd known about it, we could have said, oh well, this is the situation, I'll have a look at the assessment brief, or listen to our live kind of session around it. But when we're not fully in control of that as an academic, we are a little bit concerned that sometimes not the correct information is being spread around, which can create anxiety.
True.
And that might be something you find that as well, Tony, I'm sure, when you're in the classroom.
I guess just from a student perspective, we use WhatsApp quite a lot, but or you can also use Teams. If you're in university, you can use Teams, which is much more formal. But actually, kind of having those real honest, chats is really good, because you're debating, and university is a safe space. It's a space that you need to learn about what's okay and what's not necessarily okay to say. But actually within a safe space, that a challenge is a positive challenge. It's a productive challenge. It's not a negative criticism. You're allowed to have those feelings and those emotions, because that's why you do a university degree over 3 years. And it's the same for workers. We have to be kind of honest and transparent, and its ability to be able to have that forum. So as long as you feel safe in your WhatsApp group, that's fine. But if you can, move it to something like Teams, because again, you're in a much more kind of formal process and accountability, which links to your PCFs, and then you can start to track it and talk to me, and if you're at Derby University, we can give it you as a skills day.
That's true.
And also I think it's useful to know the function of WhatsApp group. For example, if it's for emotional well-being, focus on that, and if it's more business matters, come to talk to academics. That's a more credible source of information. So
it's true. That's very good. Interesting one, Chelsea. Anything else?
Some people are asking about, obviously with us all working from home now, does anyone have any? They just said they're finding the constant Skype calls, WhatsApp groups, messages, they're finding it all quite relentless. Do we have any tips on kind of blocking that out and kind of keeping our sanity basically while we're working from home?
That's a great question. I'd welcome some advice on that.
I've heard the word relentless before. I mean, just from a positive, I'm going to say a positive. I am used to being online, so I suppose it's my day to day. But what I am finding is things are much more efficient. So if I go into a team meeting or maybe an assessment board or program committee, what I'm finding is that people are listening to each other more than they might have done before, because we all mute and there's just one person who's talking. And it just seems to be, we get through an agenda in a much more efficient manner. And I don't know whether that's just in the forums I've been in, but it seems to be an operating over a much shorter period of time. So there are some efficiencies in it. And also I feel people are being listened to as well, that they may not have been listened to before in turn.
True. And I've done review work of this working from home, and this is psychological research. So I can tell you about psychological parts of positives and negatives. And positives are, for example, work engagement increases, and the work-based flow. You feel more flow during working, and also connectivity you can increase. But at the same time, negatives can be that blurred boundary. So this is probably something that you're talking about. It's a blurred, if you are in the office, maybe you have, I'm here, then I can do this, and I'm going to another room for this kind of thing. So, and the other parts include fatigue or mental demands. You can do more than that increment. But I think for this kind of constant interruption, you may have to kind of set the time for yourself, and focus on one thing, and then probably closing email software. For example, I close Outlook when I have to focus on something.
Because if you're in an office, you can physically see a door closing, maybe. You know, and the security saying to you, you now have to leave this office. It's almost like that's the cutoff point. You don't have that same cutoff point when you're online. You could be just going on forever. And actually, that word relentless, I've heard a couple of times actually over this period. It's a horrible word, but I've heard it a couple of times. So
true.
The other thing is to use your calendar. So at the moment you can't use your paper calendar, so use your your office calendar, and actually put things in there such as put your lunch break, put your coffee break, put your cigarette break if you smoke. Put that in there, and actually then put your laptop down or your computer down and go and do what you need to do. And I'm just doing a PhD at the moment. So I'm talking to my PhD group who talk about, before you start some work, maybe have a page, an open page where you vent, get that venting out the way, and then start your productive work. But using a calendar also with your settings will really help you keep a track of time. And that's really good in terms of accountability, and being able to be compassionate to yourself, because you are allowed that time to have that coffee break, that water break, that walk round the block in these stressful times.
And I think as colleagues, you know how we support each other normally. I think we should be doing the same thing, in that we don't send an email to somebody after a certain time, 5 o'clock, whatever it is. You know, be kind to other people, that you actually don't, because what that does is that will initiate them either them thinking, oh no, should I be responding to this or whatever, or initiate them actually feeling as though they've got to respond, and it's not okay. It really isn't okay, and I think people have to think about that very carefully, so that there is some kind of cut-off point from all of this, because it can go on forever.
Very good point. And then I think that relates to current research, psychological research, that it used to be believed that negative emotions, negative feelings should be suppressed or avoided. But especially this coming of third wave therapies, including mindfulness or self-compassion, it's better to acknowledge it, those emotions, then you notice how you feel, then move on. And so, as Tony said, like a venting page, I can say that that's really effective. Mental health.
Okay, it's 25 past. I don't know whether, do you need 5 minutes, Liz? Shall we have one more question, or do you think we need to move on to concluding? And
I think we probably need just to move on, just so I've got the opportunity just to tell people a little bit about what's been happening across BASW, because I'm not sure how many BASW members we've got online and how many haven't, so it'd just be helpful to give that overview. Thank you. It's so interesting though. I could carry on talking about it for ages.
And while we're saying, I mean, Yasu will probably as well, but thank you so much. I know we had a few blips at the start, this is it, but hopefully people did enjoy it and get something from this, and will take something away from it. But thank you for participating, because that makes it much more interesting, doesn't it, for us, and helpful.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, no, thanks to you, Pauline, for all the tips, and you as well, Tony. We've had some great examples of how we can practice self-care, and I've certainly written a few tips down that I need to start doing, so really appreciate that. I've just got a bit of information that I wanted to share with you. Chelsea, could you make me the presenter just so I can share my screen with people, and I'll just run through a couple of things quickly whilst people are still with us. Thank you. Great. Okay. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay. So I'll just go from the beginning, but I'll just whip through quickly. Okay, so I'm here from BASW, the British Association of Social Workers. We're the professional association that supports social workers across the UK. So we are 4 nations, and each of the nations has its own area of BASW that we support, each country that we support, and we have over 21,000 members currently. And we are the strong independent voice of social work and social workers across the UK. I'm just going to whip through just to show you a little bit about what we're doing and how we're supporting students and social workers. Whoops, sorry, I've just lost my screen there. Bear with me again. There we go. Yeah, so that's just a quote from Emma, who's our chair of the Student and Newly Qualified Social Workers group there. She's very much involved in taking forward BASW from Student and Newly Qualified Social Workers perspective. So if you want to find out more about that, you can get in touch with me. My email address will be at the end of the presentation. We've got lots of opportunities to get involved in lobbying, policy, there's training, CPD, career development. We've got a mentoring scheme. We have a trade union that's attached to our organisation. There's lots of opportunities for learning around conference events and webinars. We've got a whole host of online events coming up, so please do have a look at our events page. Some are open for members and non-members. There's the opportunity to get involved in thematic groups if you've got a particular area of expertise or specialism that you want to focus on, or you're just particularly interested in an area of social work. We also have Professional Social Work magazine. We're all very busy, and that's a great opportunity just to reflect, spend 10 minutes getting to grips with what's happening with social work across the country. Really, really good stuff in there, and we encourage social workers to contribute to the magazine every single month. We've also got discounted membership. If you're a student, it's a great time to join BASW because you get a reduced membership, and then that's taken forward when you qualify. If you continue your membership, you get that at 50%. So there's lots and lots of advantages to joining early on in your career. This is just a snapshot of some of the support we've been giving social workers during the pandemic. We've been capturing feedback through an online survey. That's enabled us to lobby government and leaders to get policy change and to ensure that the voice of social work is heard throughout the pandemic. We regularly speak out on the media around issues that are affecting social workers that they tell us about. We have the support forums I talked about earlier, branches. Tony talked to you a bit about the work of the Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire branch, very active and very supportive around CPD and learning, no matter where you are in your career in social work. And the other thing to say about BASW as well is we are here as peers. So anytime that people need support, there are lots and lots of different ways that we can provide that. And we've heard through the presentation today how important it is that we connect with each other as colleagues, particularly during the pandemic, that people aren't feeling isolated, that there are opportunities to come together, talk about what's happening for us, and just receive that support and be kind to each other, because we do need that. Okay. So that's just a little bit there about membership. I've just covered the student membership rates on there, which are incredibly positive, and I hope that people that are students that are listening will take the opportunity to come and have a look at more about what we can do in terms of student membership for people. And there's a bit more around the CPD, which is important to talk to you about as well, because if you're an experienced qualified social worker, you'll be looking to come to register again soon. So there's lots of opportunities to capture your CPD at BASW and with BASW. We've got an online portal. We've got events where you can get a certificate, where you can collect CPD points, where you can do reflection. We've got podcasts, webinars, all sorts of events, branches, networks, everything you can imagine, and a whole blended learning approach to CPD. And there's lots of access to online journals and articles if that's your preferred way of learning. So plenty of opportunities and plenty of material there for you to access. Events details are there. That's a link to our website events page if people want to make a note of that. Okay. And then if anybody wants to talk more about membership, because I know we haven't had much opportunity to do that today, that's my email address. You can also follow BASW on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. That's a great source of information and connection again with colleagues across the country and globally as well. So I would encourage you to have a look at that. And that's it for me. That was a quick whistle-stop tour, but I'm just conscious of time and wanting people to get off and make sure that they look after themselves for the evening as well. We've been discussing
and close the door.
Yeah, definitely.
Close the computer.
Definitely. So a huge thank you to everybody, our panel, to Pauline, Tony, Yazoo, to the whole committee, Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire branch for supporting the event and helping it to happen, University of Derby, and for everyone that's taken part today. We really appreciate your time and your commitment, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the results and outcomes from the polls today. So thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.